Simon and I are out with two of the most ludicrous bikes you can buy at the moment. We've got Yamaha's MT10, a naked R1, and we've got BMW's S1000R, which is a naked S1000RR essentially. Let's find out which is best. These two bikes have been itching for a dust-up since the Yamaha was launched in May. It's two super nakeds using a sports bike engine and frame, both detuned from about 200 horsepower to 160. They couldn't be more closely matched. It's Yamaha's MT10 and BMW's S1000R. It was difficult not to be blown away by the MT10's torque the first time I rode it on the launch, with its front wheel really eager to lift at about 7,000 RPM in second. But I had a sneaky feeling it wasn't quite the brute the S1000R is in the lower part of the range, and having ridden them back to back, I don't think it is. The MT10 retains a hint of the R1's top end bias, while the S1000R has everything: top end, mid-range and bottom end. The detuning has paid off more. But that's not even the most impressive thing about the S1000R. What's really impressive is how controllable that aggression is. Suzuki's GSX-S 1000 has a jerky on-off throttle response. It's a pain in the arse, and when I said that in my review of it, some of you said I was just a bit scared of it. I might be, but this BMW is the proof that aggressive torque is not the same as on-off torque. It will fire you down any straight just as quickly with just as little effort as that Suzuki, but it understands if you just need to trickle through a village or around a mini roundabout at 10 miles an hour. The torque develops almost seamlessly from nothing and is easy to maintain at constant low level. This is what a good motorcycle is like. It shouldn't be a challenge to ride it, any more than the kettle should offer obstacles to making tea. And if you disagree, I'll buy you one with a spout curving the wrong way around. You'll like it. The MT10 is not a pain like the GSX-S 1000, but it's not as refined as the S1000R. Both the S1000R and the MT10 have three riding modes offering a progressively more aggressive throttle response, meaning more torque for a given wrist movement. The MT10 is more jerky in its least aggressive setting than the BMW is in its most. It's something that wouldn't necessarily be on your mind riding the Yamaha in isolation, but it's just highlighted by a go on the BMW. Like the Yamaha's weaker brakes, they're not terrible, they just don't match the bike's performance elsewhere, and the S1000R casts a brilliant light on that. On the BMW, you have to recalibrate your hand to the light touch required, at times making you glad of the ABS. The Yamaha of course has ABS too, but the lever takes a firmer grip and the feel has more in common with wood. It will stop the bike very quickly, but it's just not in the same league. The MT10's cross-plane crank engine has a lot of character. It's got a bit of a clank and rattle to it, but it sounds different, special and serious. The S1000R has a more conventional four-cylinder feel and sound, that smoothness, but it still has a deep induction bark when you suddenly open the throttle and an angry burble when you shut off. Use a quick shifter and it makes a really nice pop between each gear change. Both of these motorcycles handle like the sports bike drive machines they are and have excellent suspension. The bars on the S1000R are lower, making you lean forward a little bit more and creating more of the sense of a naked sports bike, an S1000RR with the fairing and clip-ons ripped off. There's a sense of sports bike-like precision in the steering too. The MT10 feels closer to the typical naked bike, upright with the straight bars right in front of you. The riding position on the S1000R is better for bracing yourself against the torque. And you feel a little bit more part of the bike, possibly helped by the lower seat. I'm 5'9" and I could easily get both feet flat on the ground on the S1000R, but I was on the balls of my feet on the MT10. The S1000R's seat was softer and more comfortable than the MT10's too, and that should make it better for longer journeys, but unfortunately the S1000R is a bit vibey through the pegs, bars and mirrors at motorway speeds, just a little bit. With its slightly bigger headlight cowling offering a little bit of wind protection, the MT10 is the one I'd rather ride to Land's End on, but who chooses a naked bike for that? On a warm day in the city, the S1000R hovered at around 100 degrees, while the MT10 got to 106 at one point. The S1000R feels sometimes fiddly to get into neutral, preferring to go down from second, and that became annoying when there are lots of traffic lights. But on balance, its faults are outweighed by its strength. Amazingly, it's a better all-round motorcycle than the MT10, as well as a more impressive super naked. Yamaha do optional panniers and a tall screen for the MT10, kind of making it an MT10 tracer, but you can get nice aftermarket throwover panniers for the BMW, if that's what you want, as well as a screen. And anyway, 2-up touring potential on the MT10 is going to be limited by its pillion pegs, which are ridiculously high. But it's not for any of these considerations that the S1000R wins this test. It wins because for me it's the better Super Naked. It's the one that I think the average rider, like me, can exploit more performance from. It's not so much a criticism of the Yamaha, because that's amazing too, as a testament to how good the S1000R is. It's got a stronger, more usable engine and much better brakes, and really that's all you need to know. It set a very high bar when it was launched 2 years ago, and the MT10 just hasn't quite met it.
There's a lot of great things about the MT10. It is by no means a bad bike, but its saving grace is, I think, the way it looks. A nigh on 160 brake horsepower Super Naked should not be a shrinking violet. It should not be a bike that just passes you by in the street, and this certainly doesn't. It divides opinion, and I think that is a brilliant thing. From its out there styling to its fluorescent wheels, it looks like a transformer. It looks like it's come from the future, and crucially, it sounds like it as well.